Wake up, Toronto. I mean, literally wake up. Especially if you're trapped in a nightmare, the best thing to do is open your eyes as fast as possible to make sure you're in your bed and everything else you've seen so far was just a dream. I think in a previous episode we looked at signs from the universe and then Googling articles of what it may mean. And by we, I mean myself, because I have a tendency of doing that. For example, I mentioned the mourning dove that was perched on my porch, or the little bunny rabbit chilling on my front lawn when I pulled into the driveway. I don't know what animals have obsessions with crossing paths with me. It's not like I'm Snow White and there's 7 dwarves and we just whistle while we work. Don't ask me how I know that song. No, seriously, growing up, my favorite Disney movies was Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, Aladdin, and Alice in Wonderland. And I'd watch these 3 movies, alternating between them, of course, because that's what kids do. And it drove my parents absolutely bonkers, but I have great memories associated with them. So yeah, way to go, Disney, for reminding me about my childhood. Now, back to what I was saying about signs from the universe and trying to find meanings out of it. So it wasn't just the showing up of random critters. It was also things like reoccurring numbers. So it could be dates, time, invoice numbers, SKUs, etc. And sometimes it's either double digits or they come in a sequence of like 3, 5, 7, what have you numbers. And I don't know why I do this immediately, because I need to find the meaning behind all things. And I hope I'm not the only one obsessed with researching answers. But I guess it's human nature to feel something, perhaps in a spiritual context, that you are being looked after or guided in the right direction. And sometimes it can be a dream, like from a loved one who appears that has passed away and leaves a message with you that they are safe, which sometimes can give you closure. Or like getting a sign to apply for a job that would be favorable to your career. It's like that higher power kind of belief, and I think it illuminates our journey through life. Damn, that's pretty poetic, I must say. When it comes to dreams specifically, there are a handful that I remember which are good, they were fun. But majority of the time, it's the odd, horror-induced mixed with fear, anxiety, adrenaline, and sadness. Those are the ones that I can retain the most details on, down to the nitty-gritty, like the smell. Pretty crazy? Yeah, I guess. And now these dreams I do jot down in my journal, and for many years I've been compiling lots of content, and I don't know why, but I think of it as a science project, and I went back and analyzed it to see if there's any patterns that exist. Maybe one day I'll even share some excerpts from the originals, but I warn you, they're very Stanley Kubrick meets Wes Craven and a little bit of Mike Flanagan mixed in. It would make a great box office hit for sure. But fun fact, I've used quite a bit of the scenes from my dreams and stories that I've written and narrated, called Short Scary Stories to Fall Asleep to. I know, just a quick shameless plug there. If you'd like to check it out on my YouTube channel called Suzannatv, I've got a whole playlist full of them. Maybe they'll help you cure your insomnia if you are that person who has trouble falling asleep at night, like myself. Anyway, as we were discussing if those dreams in fact had a pattern, yeah, I did realize a couple things. Many of them involved destruction on an extinction level, meaning like the end of the world kind of a vibe. And 7 out of 10 times, that is the core of it. Some have fires, others have rising of ocean levels, planets crashing into the earth, and basically it starts off like a normal day playing out right before your eyes, and then the uncalled for catastrophe occurs. Then from there, it's the scramble to escape or survive. But for me, 100% of the time, these related dreams, my number one priority is to get to my family. Whether that be driving in a car at full speed or in an airplane or running, that is the main goal, to be with my family until our inevitable end. Before we get into the storytelling portion of this dream, which I had a couple days ago, I wanted to look at what general messages that could be. So here are examples from some of the past searches and their results and explanations. So many theories of what the reasons behind these doomsday dreams are. Basically could mean you've got waves of emotion inside of you. That's why you're seeing like the sea levels rising, or you're seeing a change within yourself. That could mean spiritual awakenings or revelations. And it could even be fear of the future or your own feelings of being kind of out of control. And as vague as these interpretations are, ultimately you can either dismiss them or create your own way of acceptance and applying it to the scenarios in your real life. Okay, so let's talk about why this dream in particular stood out to me and why I'm talking about it today. Although this dream was apocalyptic, it seemed like different because of the aftermath. So I found myself ascending into an array of scattered constellations with hues of dark blues and purples, and I felt really light, but there was like a suction-like force pushing me, okay? And then all of a sudden, I'm in a room. Most of it is pitch dark, and there's TV screens in the background showing Earth and its terrible annihilation. And so there was a long table in front of those TV screens that stretched from one corner of the room to the next, but it looked like it was going on infinitely because I was staring down at one of the ends and it seemed like it was going on forever. And so on one of the sides of the table, there were people in chairs with clipboards, and on the other side, in lines, were stationed just people I didn't know, just random human beings. And so if I could compare it to something, it would be like the agents who have their posts at the airport, who weigh the luggage and prepare the tickets and stick it on the bags. It was a little bit similar to that. So finally, I reached the front with one of those agents and they begin to show me my clipboard. It's super thick and has all the stats on my time on Earth. So there was like the good deeds and the not so good with my karma that's remaining. And so he asked me where I would like to go next. I was confused and questioned, like, what do you mean? He said, your next form, how there is life in other galaxies and it spans nearly forever. And then I took a moment and said, could I go back to the same birth and reincarnate into that life? He examined the clipboard again and said, I had enough points to do exactly that. He pulled out a drawing of an anatomy of a body, presumably mine, and asked me how I would like to look, if there's any changes that needed to be made. And I said, no, I want exactly the same appearance, the same personalities, including the same family, friends, just everything the same. Keep it like that. He nodded his head, said no problem, gives this follow-up as to, why do you want the same if the end result will be the same? Because going into the same body, I won't remember anything from my past except for moments of deja vu. I agreed with him on that. But I told him my last life was the best life. It was the most loved life. And since I'd already cleared quite a bit of karmic dues in that life compared to all the lives I've ever lived, of course, I would like to go back and repeat that again. Why mess with the successive formula? I could keep going back to that same body until I'm ready to move on to an even higher power. He laughed at that idea. And the last words that he said was very well, with a smile. He pushed a button and I woke up literally in my bed. It makes me wonder, what was it that I experienced in that dream? It was kind of out of body, and Could there be a valid explanation for it? Was my body just waking up at its usual time in the morning when I'm supposed to start my day? So I guess it was on cue. Who knows? I'm curious. I'm calling out any deep thinkers, philosophers, lovers of astrology, maybe mediums. Is that a far stretch? Any comments about what my dream could mean? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, or let's start an icebreaker, okay? Is there a specific dream or reoccurring dream that you can't seem to forget? And do you feel like it could be trying to tell you something if it's happening ever so now and then? Exchange it with me. Maybe I too can delve a bit deeper and find some answers. Sometimes, you might not be able to figure it out for your own self from your own dreams, but I could be of assistance to somebody else. I might not be very good or helpful, but a girl can try, all right? I have experience with Google on these topics, so I should give myself a pat on the back for that. With that said, it's a wrap on today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for tuning in. I have to add though, Wake Up Toronto, again, is looking to feature more guests in 2023. So if you are that person or would like to nominate someone and believe their story needs to be shared, please, please, please send an email to Suzannatv.tv@gmail.com with the subject line reading Wake Up Toronto guest. Now, if you're putting a request out for someone, please share a short blurb about them and how we can get in touch with them. Have a fantastic weekend, guys. We're getting closer to Christmas, so stay warm, stay safe, and be merry. Much love, always.